This is Smart Poker Study episode 199, the 5 F's of utilizing pre-flop 2-bet ranges. I hope you caught episode 198 last week. In that one, I helped you diagnose the leak that we're plugging today, straying outside of profitable pre-flop 2-bet and 2-bet calling ranges. It's poker study time, y'all! Thank you so much for tuning in and for telling your friends. And hey, you don't really have to tell them about it, you know? The next time you're playing at a brick and mortar, you're sitting down at a full ring tournament or a cash game, all you have to do, in a voice loud enough for everybody to hear, just ask the person next to you, hey, have you heard of the Smart Poker Study podcast? Just ask them the question, and I'm sure that Google will do the rest for them. Thank you very much for spreading that word. And of course, on top of spreading the word, a big way that all of you support me is through Patreon, and I love creating this weekly show for you, and the time I spend creating it, it's supported by everyone over there on Patreon. You can start your support by going to patreon.com/smartpokerstudy. Now, there are different levels of support with different rewards attached. Once you begin your support, you'll get the current month's reward as well as access to the archive of patron-only content. So for just a few dollars a month, which is less than one buy-in, you're going to support the show and you will receive some valuable poker content in return. So once again, patreon.com/smartpokerstudy, and I appreciate it. Alrighty, last week I gave you the symptoms for the leak of straying outside of pre-flop 2-bet and 2-bet calling ranges. Not only the symptoms, but we talked about calculating costs and tracking quantifiables. Everything about the leak, right? Well, plugging this leak can be done in two different ways. The first is creating and following your own ranges, or the second, finding and following ranges. In my newest book, Preflop Online Poker, I give direction in that book on how to create your own ranges. And back in podcast episode 90 and 91, I did the exact same there. So in today's podcast, I'm not going to tell you how to create ranges. This podcast is going to be about finding and following ranges from poker coaches. And I'm going to give you the 5 F's of doing this. They are find, frolic, figure, fine-tune, and finalize. So please visit the show notes page for everything I discussed today, along with screenshots and links at www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod199. And when you go there, you're going to find links to the 2-bet ranges that I recommend and the 2-bet calling ranges I recommend. Well, it's time to blast off! Gambate!
Very well. Where do I begin?
Alrighty, the 5 F's of utilizing pre-flop 2-bet ranges. The first F is find. Now, there are plenty of ways that we can find pre-flop ranges. You can start off with books like The Course by Ed Miller, or The Grinder's Manual by Peter Clark, or even my latest book, Preflop Online Poker. You can also find ranges by just going online. You know, Upswing Pokers put out their ranges, and if you sign up for their course and stuff, you get their ranges. Red Chip Poker gives ranges. So many other sites. All you have to do really is do a Google search for pre-flop ranges, or even a YouTube search for pre-flop ranges. Either way, tons of pages and tons of videos are going to pop up. Just click on one from somebody who seems like a reputable, notable kind of coach, and copy down those ranges, listen to how they recommend to use them, and go ahead and start using them. And it's important to really pay attention to how the coach recommends that you use them. If they say to raise to 4 big blinds in early position and maybe min raise on the button, then give that a shot. You know, they've played with and they've also analyzed those ranges a ton before you ever got to see them. So trust them on how they say to implement the ranges. And every range that you find that totals to the same percentage is going to look very similar. Like my 12% range is probably going to look very similar to anybody else's 12%. My 30% range is going to look pretty darn close to someone else's 30% range. So if you're building a 12% range, for example, you're not going to find hands like Jack 4 suited or 10-9 offsuit. No, instead, they're going to contain a lot of the same pocket pairs, a lot of the same broadways, the same aces, and the same suited connectors as well. So if you go to the show notes page for today, once again, www.smartpokerstudy.com/pod199, you can find my 2-bet and 2-bet calling ranges there. Now, I am not going to spout them all off here for you, because just reciting tons of percentages and combo counts, it's going to be a bit boring. But I will share with you my early position 2-betting range. And this is the one that I use for full ring and for 6-max games, and it's for every position before the cutoff. Now, I'm going to tell you this range right now because it's going to be useful as we discuss the remaining Fs in today's podcast. So my early position range, it's a 12% range, and it contains every pocket pair, ace-10 suited or greater, ace-5 suited through ace-deuce suited, ace-queen offsuit or greater, and 7-6 suited or greater. And when you go to the show notes page, you're also going to find open raising ranges for the cutoff and for the button. Now, the cutoff, I use that range in the cutoff, of course, and I also use it in the small blind when it's folded around to me. And the button range, that's used in the button. It's also used in the big blind when the small blind is the only limper in the pot. So you're going to have ultimate position post-flop. And you'll also find an isolation range. Now, it's a very small 7% range filled with just really strong hands. Now, this is the range that you're going to isolate with from the blinds versus one or more limpers. In the other positions, in the EP, the cutoff, and the button, you're going to ISO raise with that exact same range. But make sure when you're isolating, you're doing it to at least 3 big blinds plus 1 per limper. At a minimum, because I've found success lately isolating at 6 big blinds or more per limper. And I think it was 2 or 3 nights ago, I stacked a player when I isolated to 9 big blinds. He was the only limper, and I isolated him to 9 big blinds, and I had pocket aces. He decided to call. We got it all in on the flop or the turn, don't remember. And of course, my aces held. So whether you're going with just 3 big blinds plus 1 per limper, or you're going 6, 7, 8, 9 big blinds, whatever it is, your goal is to choose the sizing that's going to limit the callers or get the necessary folds that you're looking for. If you're isolating out of the blinds, make it even bigger to charge your opponents for their post-flop position. And then when it comes to just open raising, I recommend a standard 3 big blind across the board, except in the earliest position, maybe under the gun and under the gun plus 1 if you're doing full ring. I recommend to go a full pot, so 3.5, even 4 big blinds right there, just to discourage so many callers and to discourage a lot of those guys who like to 3-bet bluff you later on. Of course, if you have a great hand like aces or kings, you want those 3 bets. So, like I said, size it to where you get the desired results. And when it comes to using the calling ranges, consider the bet sizing you face and how the remaining players are going to respond to your call. You just sweetened the pot for others to overcall, and you've also sweetened the pot for those 3-bet bluff squeezers out there. So look at the remaining players around the table, and if your call creates an easy-to-exploit situation for players capable of doing so, then think twice before you click that call button. And now for the most critical aspect of utilizing ranges. Do not follow ranges blindly. Now, ranges are meant to be default plays on tables and against players who you know nothing about. You just sat down at this table, whether it's live or it's online, 6-max full ring, doesn't matter. You don't know squat about any of the players there, so you follow these ranges. But as soon as you start to learn your opponent's tendencies, maybe you learn the bet sizing they use, their post-flop actions, and anything else from showdown hands and check raising on the flop, whatever it is, when you start learning about your opponents, that's when you're going to deviate from the ranges. Alrighty, now that we've found our ranges, we're on to F number 2, frolic. So it's time to frolic with them. You're going to play 10,000 hands or more with the ranges. Now, you want to frolic with these ranges in your normal games at your normal stakes, but don't frolic frivolously. Frolic with focus. Pay attention to the table and the players that you're playing with. You want to consider the positive EV or possibly negative EV nature of every single hand before you open raise with it, before you isolate with it, or before you call with it. If you think it's positive EV and you're going to make money making this play with this hand against these players in the long run, go ahead and make it. If you're not sure, well, when in doubt, just fold. So you have this range of hands, whether it's 12, 20, 30%, whatever it is. If a hand falls within your range, think before you VPIP with it. So that early position range I gave you, it has ace-10 suited as the weakest Broadway ace in it, right? Well, every time you're dealt that hand in early position, it is not a mandatory open raise. For example, maybe you're at a table full of callers. Then, if you open raise with it, you're likely going to go multi-way to the flop with ace-10 suited. It's not the worst situation to be in, but it's not a bread and butter situation either. You might want to instead consider maybe folding it or making it 4, 5, or 6 big blinds in order to get one caller or get the blinds to fold and you pick up a simple 1.5 big blinds. And let's say in early position, maybe you're considering open raising with a weaker hand, a much weaker hand, like 7-6 suited. Well, if your table's full of 3-betters, you may have to fold quite often after raising here. Now, as you're frolicking with focus, make sure to tag any tough hand or tough spots that you get yourself into. You are tagging these hands so that you can review them and learn from them later on in your study session. And lastly, you want to envision how the rest of the table will react to your play before you click that button preflop. So start planning the hand now before you even get to the flop. Alrighty, so we've found our ranges, we've frolicked with them with focus. Now it's time for F number 3, figure. This is where you figure out the profitability of the ranges. You can calculate the profitability as you go, but I recommend just playing at least 10,000 hands before you dive seriously into the profitability of the ranges. Of course, as you play, you're going to be reviewing any tagged hands, but when you're trying to look at the actual hard numbers of profitability, you want at least 10,000 hands. So if you're playing 6 max games, you'll be dealt almost 1,700 hands in each position. This is enough to begin analyzing for profitability. But of course, 15, 20, 30,000 hands is better. You can filter through your database for 2-bet hands by position, and of course 2-bet calls by position. You can also filter for specific hands or groups of hands to see how they're working for you. For example, you can look up 7-6 suited, or you can look up 7-6 suited all the way through 10-9 suited. Or go all the way up through Ace-King suited if you want to see all the suited connectors. For any hands that seem unprofitable or tough spots that you've been researching, what's making them tough or unprofitable? Is it your hand choice? Is it your position? Is it the number of opponents you face? Is it the stack sizes or the pot size on the flop? It could be more than just your hole cards that are causing problems for you. And lastly, you want to record your findings and especially take note of hands and positions you find difficult to play. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial by going to audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy. They have tons of poker books and, of course, fiction, other non-fiction books for you to listen and learn from as well. And I highly recommend that you get my 3 books, How to Study Poker, Volumes 1 and Volume 2, and Preflop Online Poker, Volume 1. Even if you've bought the ebooks already, just going through those books, chapter by chapter, in your study sessions is great. But then later on, you can listen to the books on audiobook to refresh your studies of them. So once again, go to audibletrial.com/smartpokerstudy to start your free 30-day trial and get a free audiobook. Speaking of my books, Brian Spencer left a really nice 5-star review for my book, Preflop Online Poker. He gave it 5 stars and titled it For Players Who Are Serious About Improving Their Game. I knew I had to get this as soon as it came out since I loved Sky's previous books. His previous books changed how I absorbed and learned information in all my previous poker studies. This newest book is incredible! It lays out a step-by-step roadmap for success at the poker table. This is a must-read textbook for any serious aspiring cash game player. I've seen my win rate dramatically increase in just 2 weeks using his playing with purpose and studying with purpose techniques. I can't wait to see my results once I finish the entire book. Alrighty, well, Brian, thank you so much for leaving that killer review. I do appreciate it. It helps spread the word to other people. Hopefully they read your book and they think to themselves, hey, maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. So then they buy it, they learn, they leave a review, on and on. It's a circle, my friends. Thank you once again, Brian, and everyone else who's left a review in Amazon. And one quick shout out today, Chase purchased Poker Tracker 4 through my affiliate link at smartpokerstudy.com/PokerTracker4. Thank you so much for that support, Chase, and good luck in utilizing Poker Tracker 4 to exploit your opponents and to study in detail, in depth into your own game. And of course, like we're talking now this week, last week, those pre-flop ranges, hopefully you're using some good ranges, and Poker Tracker 4 is going to help you dive in, analyze, and figure out their profitability. I know you want to quit your job and live the life of your dreams. Maybe it's through poker, but maybe it's through passive income. I recommend that you check out masterpassiveincome.com. That site teaches you how to invest in real estate rental properties and allows you to make money even while you sleep. My brother, Dustin Heiner, he is the founder of masterpassiveincome.com. He was able to quit his job at just 37 years old, and he can teach you how to do the same. I'm currently listening to his podcast, going episode by episode. I am learning as well. He gave me access to his course. What a nice guy. And I'm going through that to start my own real estate adventure. He's been trying to get me to do it for a long time, and I've just been so focused on poker and doing this other stuff that I just haven't done it yet. But now is the time. So with Dusty's guidance through the blog, his podcast, the free courses, and community groups, you will learn what it takes to buy a property and make monthly cash flow, allowing you to never need a job again. You can become successfully unemployed. So go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course to get your free real estate investing course that will get you started investing in real estate just like the rich do. So don't wait. Go to masterpassiveincome.com/free course right now to get your free real estate investing course. Alrighty, back to class, poker people. Alrighty, so we have found our ranges, we've frolicked with them, we have figured out the profitability. Now it's time to fine-tune the ranges. F number 4. Because you know now which hands are unprofitable and the hands that cause you too many headaches, you can fine-tune these ranges to make them more suitable to your style of play. Now, how you do the fine-tuning is completely in your hands. This is where you take the Preflop online poker ranges I give you, or the course ranges, or ranges from the Grinder's Manual, or Upswing, or Red Chip Poker. You take those ranges, and now you make them your own. So, for example, in the early position range I recommend, I do not include King-Queen offsuit. Well, maybe you love King-Queen offsuit. Maybe you've always found that you can make that hand profitable. You know how to play it. You can easily ditch it post-flop if necessary. And maybe in general, you've made a lot of money with King-Queen offsuit. Well, that hand is 12 combos total. You can go ahead and ditch 7-6 suited, 8-7 suited, and 9-8 suited. Those are 12 combos removed. That makes room for the 12 combos of the King-Queen offsuit. If you want to keep those, but instead you want to ditch some pocket pairs, ditch the 6 combos of pocket deuces, the 6 combos of pocket threes, bam! You made room once again for those 12 King-Queen offsuit combos. Now, there's a great reason for fine-tuning the ranges. It makes the ranges fit your style and the games that you play. Now you have ownership over these ranges, and you have nobody to blame but yourself if your ranges are making you unprofitable. Now that you've fine-tuned these ranges, go ahead and play 10,000 more hands, or even more if you'd like. After that, figure once again and fine-tune once again. Just repeat these steps until you're happy with the ranges. Alrighty, we're on F number 5, finalize. So now that you've frolicked and figured and fine-tuned over and over again, it's time to finalize these puppies. Make them your ranges now. So proceed from this moment with confidence in these ranges. You feel fulfilled with all the work that you've done. You are free from doubt regarding the profitability of these ranges. They work for your stakes and the games that you choose to play, and you are fearless in your use of these ranges. You've done so much work, and hopefully you've played 20,000 or even more hands by now through this entire process. You know these ranges inside and out, and you don't falter in your use of them. Challenge! Here's my challenge to you for this episode. Follow the 5 F's for your pre-flop 2-bet hand choices starting today and through the next 10,000 hands or more. Find a set of ranges you think look promising. Use mine from the show notes page or look elsewhere, of course. If you already have ranges that you use, great. Proceed with the next 4 F's. The next one is frolic with the ranges. Make sure you're frolicking with focus and tag every tough hand or spot that you find yourself in. Next, figure out their profitability after at least 10,000 hands. Of course, fine-tune the ranges and add or subtract hands as you deem necessary. Frolic, figure, and fine-tune some more until you are ready to finalize them. Do this when you feel fulfilled, free from doubt, and fearless in using these ranges. Now it's your turn to take action and do something positive for your poker game.
Oh, that's it now. Get out there and be somebody. Go write a book.
This episode isn't complete until you head to the show notes page at smartpokerstudy.com/pod199. You can go there for screenshots and links to everything discussed today, to discover ways in which you can support the podcast to keep me keeping on, and to get your 2-bet and 2-bet calling ranges. Thank you so much for listening today. If you have not done so already, please subscribe and leave a review to this podcast in your favorite podcatching app. This is the best way to help the show grow, other than direct word of mouth and asking those fellow players at the tables if they've heard of the show, you know? So, if you can type or say the words Smart Poker Study, you can find me on Alexa, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. And if you have questions, send me an email to sky@smartpokerstudy.com. Speaking of questions, next week in episode number 200, I'm going to do another Q&A, and I'll answer 3 of your burning questions. Word of mouth is the best advertising, so thank you very much for sharing the show with other poker people. Your sharing and caring is what helps us grow. Until next time, study smart, play much, and make your next session the best one yet.